When we think of the mysteries of ancient civilizations in South America, inevitably, Machu Picchu comes to mind.
Machu Picchu has been called the lost city of the Incas, but it turns out the place still has tricks up its stone-carved sleeves. Researchers recently uncovered a hidden chamber tucked away beneath the ruins, sparking wild speculation about what might be inside. Gold? A royal tomb? Something stranger? The truth is both surprising and fascinating, and it proves Machu Picchu still has stories to tell that even Hollywood couldn't dream up. The eternal mystery of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu isn't just a tourist attraction, it's a riddle wrapped in stone, perched like a crown jewel high in the Andes. Even if you've never set foot in Peru, you've probably seen the postcard image. Terraces stacked like giant staircases, temples clinging to cliffs, clouds swirling around jagged peaks. But here's the kicker. Nobody fully agrees on what it was for. Built in the mid-1400s, abandoned barely a century later, and then rediscovered in 1911 by American explorer Hiram Bingham, Machu Picchu has never been neatly explained.
Yale University professor Hiram Bingham is on a quest to find an infamous lost city.
Was it a royal playground for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti, a hidden ceremonial site, a fortress? Some argue it was a little of everything, an ancient version of a luxury spa retreat, religious center, and power statement rolled into one. And yet, for all we do know, the precision of its stonework, the astronomical alignments, the agricultural terraces that still baffle modern engineers, the site is loaded with gaps. Why here, on this mountain ridge? Why build a city designed to be so hard to reach? And most importantly, what did they leave behind for us to find? That aura of unfinished business is exactly what keeps Machu Picchu fascinating. It's not just beautiful, it feels alive with secrets. Even today, when millions of tourists march through its gates each year, there's this sense that the ruins are watching us, not the other way around. It dares you to believe there's more tucked away, behind walls or beneath floors. And guess what? Sometimes there really is. The discovery of the hidden chamber. Fast forward to the 21st century, where Indiana Jones hats have been swapped for laptops and laser scanners. Archaeologists suspected there might be more to Machu Picchu than met the eye, but the challenge was clear. You can't exactly go smashing through sacred ruins with a pickaxe. Enter the magic of technology. Using ground-penetrating radar and other scanning tools, a French-led team began sweeping the site. Think of it like X-raying a mountain, sending signals deep into the ground and measuring the echoes. What they found was a shocker, an empty void beneath one of Machu Picchu's main temples, a sealed-off chamber, untouched for centuries. This wasn't a tourist tripping over a loose stone. It wasn't even a casual, "Oh look, a tunnel." This was intentional.
The radar also indicates a huge amount of metal down there.
The Incas, master architects of mystery, had built something significant and then locked it away so thoroughly that modern humans only noticed with machines. The world went wild. Lost tomb discovered? Secret room in Machu Picchu? The headlines flared up overnight, and armchair archaeologists had a field day. After all, this was Machu Picchu. If a hidden chamber existed here, it had to be important. Gold, sacred relics, maybe even a royal mummy? For a hot minute, the whole thing sounded like a script waiting for Hollywood. But underneath the hype was something more tantalizing: intent. The Incas didn't do anything by accident. If a chamber was sealed, it wasn't laziness, it was ritual. That's what made the find so electrifying. It wasn't just about what's inside, it was about what it meant that the Incas had hidden it in the first place. And of course, once word got out, everyone thought they knew the answer, because when you say hidden chamber in Machu Picchu, the mind jumps straight to treasure, tombs, and shiny things. What everyone expected to find. The moment hidden chamber hit the news, imaginations ran wild. Forget pottery shards or ceremonial tools. People were picturing piles of gold gleaming in torchlight, A long-lost mummy of an Inca emperor, or maybe some cursed relic straight out of an Indiana Jones flick. After all, when history dangles the words secret room in front of us, our brains default to one thing: treasure. And in fairness, it wasn't a totally crazy assumption. The Incas were known for their wealth, and Spanish conquistadors wrote breathless accounts of golden temples and shimmering artifacts. Legends still swirl about entire cities of gold hidden in the Amazon. So when people heard sealed chamber at Machu Picchu, they didn't imagine gardening tools. They imagined jackpot. Pop culture only fuels that expectation. Movies and video games have conditioned us to believe that every hidden door leads to glittering treasure or a sacred weapon waiting for the chosen one. Fans of Tomb Raider or Uncharted practically had their theories drafted before archaeologists even finished their scans. But here's where reality and fantasy split. Archaeologists, the real buzz killers, or heroes, depending on how you see it, tried to temper expectations. They reminded everyone that Incas valued spiritual offerings over gold hoards. A hidden chamber might contain ritual objects, bones, or symbolic items meant for the gods, not a pirate's chest overflowing with coins. Still, once the word secret slips into the story, it's hard to stop the treasure-hunting mindset from taking over. It's a fascinating quirk of human psychology. We always assume hidden equals valuable. It says a lot more about us than it does about the Incas. The Incas weren't hiding something to keep it away from Netflix historians 600 years later. They were sealing off a space for deeply spiritual reasons. But the hype was unstoppable. Blogs, forums, and even mainstream news played up the maybe gold, maybe tomb angle because, well, it's fun. Everyone loves a mystery, especially one that teases riches and royal secrets. The chamber became a blank canvas where the world projected its wildest fantasies. But when the dust settled and the real findings started trickling in, the truth turned out to be far less glittery and far more fascinating. The unexpected reality. So, what did the scans and early investigations suggest? Spoiler: it wasn't a mountain of gold coins or a throne room waiting to be looted. Instead, archaeologists believe the chamber holds offerings, objects placed with care, not to dazzle, but to honor. Think ceramics, ritual items, and possibly even human remains. Not treasure in the Hollywood sense, but something much deeper. The sacred traces of a culture that saw death, life, and the cosmos as inseparably connected. At first glance, that might sound like a letdown. No golden statues, no Incan equivalent of King Tut's tomb. But here's the twist. What's actually inside is arguably more valuable. Artifacts can tell stories gold never could. A handful of ritual objects can reveal how the Incas worshipped, what they feared, and how they imagined the universe. These things don't glitter, but they speak. And let's be real. If archaeologists had found a chamber overflowing with gold, the world would have probably spiraled into the same tired treasure narrative. Riches, greed, conquest. That storyline's been told 1,000 times. But a sealed chamber with offerings? That's like an encrypted message from the Incas themselves, waiting to be carefully decoded. Besides, we should have seen it coming. Machu Picchu has always been less about shiny wealth and more about spiritual grandeur. Its temples line up with solstices, its terraces echo with agricultural genius, and its very location seems chosen for its connection to the mountains and the sky. A hidden chamber, in that context, isn't a vault, it's a prayer. That realization changes the whole vibe of the discovery. Instead of Indiana Jones breaking in with a whip and a one-liner, imagine Incan priests performing rituals, sealing objects away with solemn intent, and trusting the mountain to guard their secrets. It's not treasure in the material sense, it's treasure in the human sense, and that's arguably the bigger win. And to really understand why a hidden chamber matters, you have to see the world the way the Incas did, where stone, sky, and spirit were all part of the same cosmic blueprint. The Incan worldview, encoded in stone. The Incas didn't just build with stone, they thought in stone. Every terrace, every wall, Every carved niche in Machu Picchu carried meaning. To them, architecture wasn't simply functional, it was spiritual engineering. The placement of a temple wasn't about aesthetics, but about aligning with the path of the sun. A carved rock wasn't just decoration. It could be a miniature model of a sacred mountain, or Apu, believed to be alive with spirit. For the Incas, the universe was a three-tiered world: the sky realm above, Hanan Pacha, the earthly plane, Kai Pacha, and the underworld below, Uku Pacha. Machu Picchu was designed as a kind of bridge between them all. The mountains framed the sky, the terraces grounded the earth, and caves or chambers represented the hidden underworld. When you start to see it this way, a hidden room isn't strange. It's exactly what you'd expect. This worldview meant that secrecy wasn't about hoarding, it was about sanctity. Certain spaces were meant for everyone to see, like open plazas where rituals could unfold in public.
Surveys showed that behind this doorway, but not just one room, possibly several rooms.
But other spaces were deliberately tucked away, reserved for priests, rulers, or offerings to the gods. The Incas weren't building banks, they were building cosmic maps, with each chamber and passageway serving a symbolic role. And here's the kicker: they pulled this off without written language. No scrolls, no books, no carved hieroglyphs. Instead, they told their cosmic story in stonework and landscapes. Machu Picchu itself was the text, and the people who lived there were the readers. That's why modern archaeologists approach places like hidden chambers not just as storage closets, but as sacred sentences in the grand story of Inca belief. It's easy to forget this when we approach Machu Picchu with modern eyes, hoping for treasure or royal skeletons. But for the Incas, the real treasure was connection to ancestors, to gods, to the mountains themselves. To understand a chamber, you have to understand the mindset that created it. And once you do, it becomes less about what's in there and more about why it's there at all. And once you see Machu Picchu through that lens, not as a ruin of stone, but as a living map of the cosmos, it becomes clear that this hidden chamber isn't just a side note. It actually rewrites how we picture the entire site, how the hidden chamber changes our picture of Machu Picchu. Before this discovery, Machu Picchu was already a masterpiece. Tour guides described it as a royal retreat. Historians called it a ceremonial hub, and travelers saw it as the most Instagrammable spot in South America. But the existence of a hidden chamber flips the script. It suggests that Machu Picchu isn't just a postcard-perfect ruin, it's still a working puzzle, with layers of meaning we're only beginning to peel back. Think about it. A hidden space beneath one of the site's most important temples isn't just an architectural quirk. It's a signal that Machu Picchu might have had more restricted, more sacred functions than we realized. Instead of a glamorous vacation home for Inca royalty, maybe it doubled as a place of deep ritual, a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds.
The Inca are really well known for their incredible stonework.
That chamber whispers that the city wasn't only meant to impress, it was meant to protect spiritual secrets. This changes how we view the layout, too. Suddenly, the terraces and plazas aren't just engineering marvels, but supporting players in a grand ceremonial design. The chamber adds weight to the theory that Machu Picchu was less about daily living and more about sacred theater, rituals played out on mountain stages, overseen by priests, ancestors, and the gods themselves. And here's where it gets exciting. If one chamber exists, could there be others? Every new find raises the possibility that what we see as the whole picture is really just the surface. The discovery forces us to stop treating Machu Picchu as a finished painting in a museum and start seeing it as an unfolding story, one where surprises still lurk behind the canvas. In short, the chamber reframes Machu Picchu not as a static ruin frozen in time, but as a dynamic site of mystery. It's not just what we've found, it's what we haven't found yet. And that's a far more thrilling picture than any single treasure chest could provide. But if the Incas were thinking in symbols and sacred spaces, why do we keep hoping for gold and glitter? That says less about them and a whole lot more about us. The strange obsession with lost treasure. Let's be honest, when you hear the words hidden chamber, your brain probably doesn't jump to ceremonial offering bowls. It jumps to treasure. We can't help it. It's baked into our cultural DNA. From childhood storybooks to Hollywood blockbusters, we've been trained to believe that anything locked away must be sparkling with gold, jewels, or at the very least, a skeleton with a crown still perched on its head. And it's not just movies like Indiana Jones or National Treasure. Even cartoons and video games tell us that secret doors lead to treasure rooms.
For years we thought of Machu Picchu as some sort of sacred pilgrimage city.
Remember how in The Legend of Zelda, every dungeon had a chest waiting for you? That mindset sticks. A sealed chamber in Machu Picchu? Of course it must be a jackpot. But here's the funny thing. That obsession is more about us than it ever was about the Incas. Western imagination has long equated hidden with wealth, especially when it comes to ancient civilizations. The conquistadors fueled this fire centuries ago, spinning tales of El Dorado, a city made entirely of gold. That myth never really died. It just evolved into modern-day treasure hunts and Netflix documentaries with dramatic voiceovers. Meanwhile, the Incas weren't hoarders of shiny things for shiny things' sake. Their treasures were spiritual, symbolic, and often perishable. Food offerings, textiles, ceremonial tools. To them, a chamber sealed underground wasn't a vault to be looted. It was a message to the gods. So when archaeologists find ceramics instead of coins, they're uncovering something the Incas would have considered priceless. Still, our obsession with treasure isn't entirely bad. It keeps the public invested. A story about finding a pot of maize seeds in a sealed room doesn't make headlines, but frame it as hidden chamber of gold. And suddenly, the whole world's paying attention. Treasure might not be the truth, but it's the hook that drags us back into history's orbit. In a way, our fantasy of lost riches is the mirror opposite of the Incan reality. We crave gold. They craved meaning. And in that gap lies the real treasure, the chance to learn what mattered most to them. History's hackers. Forget picks, shovels, and dusty brushes. Today's archaeologists are basically history's hackers. Instead of smashing open walls or prying up stones, they're slipping into the past with stealth tools that act like digital lockpicks. Machu Picchu's hidden chamber wasn't found because someone stumbled across it. It was detected with ground-penetrating radar, a kind of X-ray vision for the Earth. Think of it like opening a password-protected file. The chamber was sealed, encrypted in stone for centuries, and archaeologists finally had the right key. They bounced signals through the ground, analyzed the echoes, and discovered what lay beneath without lifting a single rock. No tomb-raiding theatrics, just clean, non-invasive hacking of the Incas' code. And this isn't just a Machu Picchu thing. Around the world, LIDAR and radar are rewriting history. Entire Maya cities hidden under the Guatemalan jungle canopy have been mapped without cutting down a single tree. Ancient Roman roads buried beneath modern towns have been traced like invisible highways.
As one of the many exterior palaces from Cusco for an Inca king.
Technology is pulling back layers of time without disturbing the sites themselves. It's like cheating at a video game. Suddenly, you can see all the hidden levels. The beauty of these tools is that they flip the old stereotype of archaeology on its head. We picture grizzled adventurers with torches, but the real heroes today look more like IT specialists, running scans, interpreting data, and figuring out which blip on a radar screen means sacred chamber and which means just a crack in the rock. They're less Indiana Jones, more Tony Stark, but honestly, that's even cooler. At Machu Picchu, this hacker-style archaeology gave us the thrill of discovery without the guilt of destruction. No walls toppled, no relics disturbed. Just a secret chamber quietly revealed by the digital equivalent of a skeleton key. And that might be the real miracle. The Incas built their secrets to last, and modern tech finally speaks their language well enough to listen in. Why secrets still shape us? On the surface, a hidden chamber sounds like just another cool find. But the real value of discoveries like this goes way beyond artifacts. What keeps us hooked is what it says about us. Human curiosity doesn't quit. Even in an age when we think we've mapped everything, there's still that itch to ask, what's hiding just out of sight? Machu Picchu itself is a symbol of resilience. Built high in the Andes, it survived centuries of storms, neglect, and even modern tourism, and still refuses to give up all its secrets. That makes it more than an Incan city. It's a reminder of cultural pride, mystery, and endurance. For Peruvians and for the world, it shows how heritage can outlast time. And maybe the deepest lesson is this: sometimes the greatest value lies not in what we expect to find, but in what we stumble upon. Surprise keeps history alive and keeps us looking. Secrets like these remind us that history is still unfolding, one hidden chamber at a time. Subscribe now so you never miss the next mystery waiting to be uncovered.